This is a breakdown of the patch I built for the very cool patch challenge 38 in the VCV community forums. This is my patch Nightcreep. If you haven't heard it, check out the link below to listen to the full thing. In this, I'm going to be doing a breakdown going through how I made some of the various sounds. First up, we have a low sort of drone noise sound. Just unmute that there. So this here is a combination of two different mosquito modules. The first is this pulsar down here, which I don't really do much to. That's what it sounds like coming straight out of the module. And then I do some light filtering and whatever, but basically comes through as is. The filter is very gradually modulated over the frequency and resonance, just to put a bit of interest, but not much. The second sound is the bass drone, that one. And that's coming out of this Foldsar. I'll throw that in. That. Very buzzy coming out, but you can also hear how it changes over time. We're modulating the CV with just a really low frequency triangle wave coming out of this tidal modulator here. I actually didn't really end up learning what these modules do. I just played around with the knobs. I was going to learn, and then sometimes you just start making music, and that's what happens. So that's the sound we started with. And then once it goes through filtering and through the mix and whatever, it combines to make a nice evolving drone. So that's the first sound. The second sound is this siren-y sort of thing. And to make that, took another Foldsar with a random selection of knobs, took a different output, sounds different, once again, don't really know what it does, and plugged the Voct into an LFO configuration, which is actually a combination of two different LFOs. So I took a tidal modulator to get this sort of shape, and then it modifies the amplitude of a triangle wave coming out of another LFO, and they're out of sync. So you sort of get this shape on the right here, where it sort of stays down the bottom and then every now and then has a bit of a spike. So I did that to sort of get the to add in irregularity into that siren. And I think that came out quite nice. I quite like how that worked. Sound 3 is a very simple drum loop. It's just used a drum sequencer here for just a bass and a snare. I originally was playing around with some more complicated stuff, hence the sequencer, but I ended up just liking this really slow, like almost too slow, repeating rhythm. So we just have a 45 BPM. It's actually half that because of how this works. And then we put some delay on it, ran it through some reverb, quite a lot of reverb. Actually, there's very little dry, quite a lot of wet. And then that just comes straight out, and that sort of gives it that spacey feel. That's what we were going for there. The final sound using the mosquito modules is this Phasar here, and I used that to create this kind of bleep thing. So to do this, twiddled all the knobs, and then noticed initially I started with this, but with waveform, just picks all the different ones, so we just sweep through them using a triangle LFO. That's how that one works. So I made a mistake, that wasn't the final mosquito module. I forgot about this top one here that we're using for the melody. It sounds like this. And so there's just a relatively simple sound going through a high pass filter. So there's a lot of buzzing in the low end. So I just took that out and then ran it through a heap of reverb. Well, yeah, quite a heap of reverb, but still got a lot of dry in it. I really like these reverb modules, in case you can't tell. Spending all my CPU on reverb. And then back here we have a sequencer, just a quantized sequencer. This push button, cool trick if you didn't know it, you can wire up a push button to the clock and use this to quickly tune your sequencer. So quite like that. And then to make it super weird, turn that off actually. To make it super weird, I wanted to run it at a different clock speed to the drum sequence and also vary the clock speed over time, just to make it sound super weird. And quite like what came out of it. Then to mix it all together, I wired up all of these tactile controllers to the attenuation on all the different instruments, and then I added a final one here, so that's the mix there. Then I added a final one that controls the wet mix on this reverb unit down here. So right now it's not adding any reverb, and then as we crank it up, on the track we do it quite slowly, but here I'll just go straight to the top. The reverb sort of takes over the track and just creates this sort of cacophonous amount of noise. I actually had to run it through a compressor because it kept clipping, and as I just wanted it to be louder. Actually there's a tiny clip there, so it was very hard to actually make it sound all like reverb without clipping all the time. I had to play around with a few different things. I also had these instruments, the sort of noise instruments turned up too loud, which was clipping. I couldn't really tell. This mixer here, this 8 mix from Nightcreep, came in really handy there, being able to see the different levels. Anyway, that's how it came together. This was my first sort of ambient track, and I really enjoyed the challenge. So hope you liked it, hope you learned something. Look forward to seeing what everybody else came up with.